came to my attention when I dropped into Pennsylvania. Another school tax fucking increase of 3.7%. I watched the general bitch about this for decades, and these people still are doing this bullshit. So here's the opening warning right now, Phillipsburg Council School Board. You're about to learn a very painful lesson here. And this is painful for me because it's a place I grew up, the place I went to school, the place I love, the people I love. That's why I come back every summer for a month when I'm on tour in Dock, in PA, because it's my DNA. It's my lifeline. It's where I come from. I've been proud to tell people for 30 years when I lived in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Denver, of course, Dallas, Phoenix, wherever else I've been. I've always been proud and bragged about where I came from, middle class America, where the country is loaded with the people, the real patriots who built this country. It's not on the West Coast, the East Coast. It's not in these liberal havens where these lobotomized dummies walk around buying all the bullshit of liberal left until they destroy their cities. Most every city in the country is run by Democrats for decades and generations, and most of them are dilapidated shitholes in so many ways. The only reason that they survive is because of the tax base stolen by these crooked politicians from middle America in small towns, counties, suburban areas to keep their game alive. Obviously, we are now on an offensive because it's part of the infiltration of what has taken this country to the brink where we nearly lost it. We nearly got a Hillary Clinton to come in and finish us off. So, shout out to Danny Likens in Phillipsburg. Sounds like she's mounting a battle against this bullshit. Another tax raised by the school board. And I'm going to tell you, those of you who may be on that school board, some of you I know, you're going to watch tonight. I'm going to show you the legal game plan and the framework that's coming your way. This legal game and this frame of this operation to start exposing the $5.1 trillion in school bonds that are unpayable all across the nation, that even Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan said the $5.1 trillion is going to collapse the economy because school boards somehow unlawfully got access to the federal bond market, and they're selling school bonds. They're not paying them off. They're selling more, not paying them off. They're raising people's property taxes because they create a budget to bail their asses out because of what they've done in the past. And now they're coming after your money again, the homeowner, to strip you of your hard-earned liquid, your value, your asset, because these people do not know what they're doing. Anybody who hasn't run a business should not be sitting on a school board. And I say that very, very strongly. Because what I've seen all over the country, especially for the last 3 decades, people sitting on school boards don't know jack shit about balancing a checkbook. They should not be in a position to be talking about balanced budgets of millions of dollars. They've never had a profit loss statement. They've never, ever been in a position where their mistakes cost them their livelihood, their assets, their money, their home, whatever, if they screw up. That doesn't happen to them. They don't learn any lessons. They keep screwing up because they're incompetent in many ways. And when they don't have to pay the price, they come back to you, the taxpayer, for more money. So I'm going to tell you this, what's coming your way, PO School Board, open records requests, FOIA requests, you're going to get buried under them. And you have to answer these requests. You got 10 days to answer these requests. If you don't, it's codified into law. You've just broke the law. You're on the hook. And if you think you're going to get attorneys to bail yourself out, trust me, attorneys are getting buried under this. Miami, those counties in Miami and throughout Florida that my friend Travis Spencer is putting on the hook, they're in full retreat. They're scared shitless because they know these crimes can put them in jail. And I'm telling you people this out of the goodness of my heart, Phillipsburg School District, because you are a part of my DNA and I want to give you a chance. You better rectify this situation because like PennDOT and the criminal activity there, these clowns there stealing from we the people, it's been a 2-year offensive and I'm not stopping. And new AG, the Inspector General there in Pennsylvania, you come on board for this for how long now and you still haven't done anything? 2 years. Pull the payrolls. Pull the payroll records. The evidence is in the payroll records. How they've doctored the payroll records to cover shit up. That's a violation. You're talking about state payroll records. And they're doctoring them out to cover up their theft. 2 years you've had to do something about this. 2 years you still have these people working at PennDOT, robbing we the people. Robbing the people. And you haven't done shit. So now I'm going to turn the heat up. And now we got Phillipsburg Osceola School District doing the same shit as all the other counties are around the country and school districts. If you haven't watched any of the shows that I've been doing here and bringing these people in who are half of godly Texas's police force has been arrested. City councils and city council members in prison right now because of what's going on around the country and because of Travis Spencer's game plan and the pattern that we're teaching people around the country how to put an end to this bullshit, this theft of we the people's property tax money, stealing the value. These people that worked their asses off for decades, and you keep coming after more and more and more because you're incompetent on these school boards. And I've had enough. It's not affecting me here where I live, but it's affecting people across the country. It's affecting my family in Pennsylvania. And those of you who are not willing to stand up and get to these school board meetings and push back on this bullshit, all I can say is you probably deserve what you're getting. You're sitting here taking punches left and right. How many right hooks do you have to get to the face before you start at least begging for a left to do something to hit you somewhere else? Well, I'm just telling you. I'm going to do my very best tonight, but I'm not feeling like I'm going to be able to keep my temper under control. I'm not doing this for me. You understand that by now. I'm spending millions of dollars of my own money out here for the last 6 years going around the country trying to wake people up to this bullshit that has been put upon us by the British Crown, who's still controlled us since the Revolutionary War. All this shit's done on half the Vatican plan to suck your money out of your pockets. Do you realize the IRS is not even a U.S. institution? It's a private corporation docked in Puerto Rico. And do you know where all your money's going to the IRS all these years? Right into the Vatican Bank, all of it. If you don't believe me, do your research or wait until it comes right to your doorstep because all the proof and the evidence is coming out. Military's not been doing this for the last couple of decades to put us in this position to expose this and reverse it all, to get we the people so pissed off that they're willing to take care of their civic duties once a month. There should be one day, one calendar day every month, a certain time of that day, you do nothing. No dance recitals, no softball games, no kids' Little League games or soccer games, because that night your ass is at the school board meeting. You're getting raped because you refuse to meet these people. It doesn't take anything violent. It doesn't take anything out of the ordinary. It takes you showing up and participating in these meetings, listen to their bullshit, hundreds of people saying bullshit. You're not doing this. You work for me. We pay your paycheck. It's codified in the law. And you stop them. You show up, and if you get your time to talk, shout them down. Get 200 people in a meeting, get 500 standing outside. These cowards will back down. They always do. They back down when we, the people, step up, face them down, and tell them, we're done with this bullshit. We're going to do a recall election and get you guys voted out. Because you don't know what you're doing and you continue to commit these crimes, raising these taxes like this. Building a damn football stadium for, I don't know, 12 million? I don't know what it was. 12 million for a football team that hasn't won a game in 2 years. And then the next season when they open it, there is no football team and no game ever that year. Why? There isn't enough kids coming out to play football. They're too busy gaming. And you, the Phillipsburg taxpayer, have to pay for these shitty decisions by these people sitting on these school boards who have never run a profit loss operation because all they have to do is keep getting more money from you. I know this because I had a business partner who came up in this school system in California in admin. And anytime it came to dealing with business issues and capital and money, let's just go find more money. That's what's in his head all of his life. Just go get more money from the taxpayer. And that's why I didn't succeed in business, because he doesn't understand. You are responsible at the very end. If you cannot make it, you go bankrupt and you're out. And that's why I'm adamant people should be sitting on school boards, should have owned businesses or had experience in business, or even been in a corporation running a department in a corporation to understand these things. Because if you mess up, you get fired. School boards, city councils, it's not messing up as a profession for them that causes them to keep coming and getting more and more of your money. Lisa, did that blank out? Did we have a gap there? All right, because I don't want anybody to miss anything I'm going to say. So I'm going to read something to you, a great ex-post. This kind of puts us in that mindset so you understand what this philosophy has done in the country. This philosophy, folks, is right out of the Communist Manifesto, what we're dealing with here. It's a mentality that's been injected into the society. Khrushchev said, we'll take over the United States without firing a single shot. We have communists running all over the country. We have a party, the Democrat Party, that's a communist party in this country. And half the Republicans are going along with them because they're feckless cowards. Anyways, this is by Sagiza Eterna on X. By the way, great narrative here. Sagiza, communism is not a political philosophy. It is a profound declaration of war against human nature, against excellence, and against spiritual truth. The democratic process has become an engine for the terrifying pathological movement. When you look at the modern left, you are not looking at a legitimate political alternative. You are looking at a calculated assault on reality itself. They do not win at the ballot box through superior ideas or economic viability, i.e. school board and city councils. Instead, they weaponize the darkest corners of human nature. The modern voter does not choose the left because they genuinely believe in a utopian paradise. They vote for them out of a deep, bitter hatred for beauty, excellence, and natural hierarchy. It is a resentment of the baseline mediocre looking at exceptional and wishing to drag it down into the mud. The left understands this psychological vulnerability perfectly. They have realized that the easiest way to conquer a civilization is not through external warfare, but by validating the envy of the masses. They promise an artificial equality that can only be achieved by severing the tallest heads in the room. To understand the terrifying mechanism of this ideology, one must analyze its deceptive moral architecture. The left cloaks itself in the language of compassion, empathy, and social justice. But this is a calculated obfuscation designed to secure raw political power. They have absolutely no intention of helping the marginalized, the poor, or the working class. We're taking a break on this. I'm going to point it out. These charter schools in the country has popped up in the 90s because the school system is failing everywhere. They were going to give tax credits so inner city kids who were trapped in ghetto war zone schools could take that money that comes from the tax base, go to a charter school. What did Gore and Clinton do when they showed up in town? They put their kids in private schools and vetoed that law, putting their kids in the nicest, best schools, keeping black kids in inner cities and other shitty schools, keeping them there. Case in point. In fact, when that dipshit Bill de Blasio, Willard Wilhelm is his real name, a communist who spent time in Cuba when he was younger, comes in, his first move is to end charter schools in Harlem. In Harlem, what happened? The black community exploded. And what did that coward milquetoast pussy do? He backed down, like they always do, because we, the people, stood up and said, bullshit. To them, these are to the scumbags, the communists, Democrats, and those who follow and support them and vote with them. To them, human suffering is merely a resource to be mined, an excuse to expand the borders of the state and diminish individual autonomy. They preach a false gospel of virtue while practicing pure, unadulterated mock politic, which is political action by a person or a group which makes use of or is intended to increase their power or influence. Power politics. Once they secure control, the mask slips off instantly. The compassionate advocate transforms overnight into the ruthless apparatchik, demanding total obedience to the new regime. This is the oldest trick in the political playbook, a strategy that Machiavelli exposed centuries ago. Project the illusion of mercy and religious devotion while quietly preparing the tools of absolute subjugation. The historical record of communism is not a series of noble mistakes. It is an unbroken timeline of deliberate, systemic horror. Where this ideological virus has infected a nation, it has followed the exact same trajectory. It lies, it cheats, it steals, and ultimately it kills. You don't believe me? 200 million people slaughtered in the 20th century at the hands of their own governments. From the frozen, brutal landscape of the Soviet Gulag system to the forced starvation of the Holodomor, communism has proved itself to be a meat grinder for human souls. In Maoist China, the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution systematically dismantled thousands of years. Lost my place. Dismantled thousands of years of profound culture, replacing family loyalty with state worship and resulting in the slaughter of tens of millions of innocent lives. In Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge turned entire cities into literal killing fields, execution chambers where citizens were murdered merely for wearing glasses or speaking a foreign language, a supreme crime against the state's mandatory ignorance. This is the true face of communism, a ravenous beast that consumes its own children in a futile attempt to force reality to conform to broken academic theory. Quote, communism is not a political philosophy. It is a profound declaration of war against human nature, excellence, and spiritual truth. The modern apologists who sit in coddled Western universities, sipping expensive coffee while defending the virtues of Marx, deserve nothing but absolute ridicule and contempt. They are the useful idiots of our generation, individuals so profoundly disconnected from reality that they believe they would be the intellectual elite directing the utopia rather than the first casualties. Yeah, I got to read this again because this is an important statement. They are the useful idiots of our generation, individuals so profoundly disconnected from reality that they believe that they would be the intellectual elite directing utopia rather than the first casualties lined up against the wall. They claim that true communism has never been tried, a defense so dripping with arrogance and historical illiteracy that it borders on the psychopathic. How many more millions must die before these ideological cultists admit that their system is fundamentally broken? Every single time this experiment has been run in history, it has resulted in economic devastation, cultural erasure, and mass graves. To support this ideology in the modern era is to display either a total absence of intellect or a terrifying desire for human suffering. We are entering a period of existential political warfare, and we cannot afford to show 1 ounce of intellectual mercy to those who wish to destroy our civilization. The time for political debate, I'm losing my voice again. The time for political debate, bipartisan compromise, and gentle disagreement is over. It's over. The left's ultimate goal is a complete financial and social expropriation of everything you have built, wrapped in the guise of democratic equality. They want a society dominated by a vast, unyielding technocracy where individual merit is treated as a social crime and dependency on the state is mandatory. If we allow even a trace of this ideological poison to remain within our institutions, our schools, or our halls of governance, it inevitably will fester and destroy the nation from the inside out. What do we see happening here? What do we see happening? Exactly that. We must draw an absolute line in the sand. We will never accept the creeping tyranny of statism. We will never bow to the forced consensus of the mob. We will never apologize for defending beauty, strength, and truth. Our objective cannot merely be to manage the decline or contain the spread of leftist ideology. Our objective must be the total and complete intellectual destruction of any trace of communism within our borders. We must aggressively expose their chicanery, humiliate their pseudo-intellectual leaders, and reclaim the cultural ground that was surrendered through decades of conservative cowardice. Yes, you conservative cowards. The future of our civilization depends on willingness to look at this terrifying threat, call it by its true name, and utterly eradicate its influence from all of our society. They're here. They're here. The ideology's here, the mindset's here. And they're sitting on school boards. And they're sitting in city and town councils. And they're the mayor of New York. Look at California. Now, I'm telling you this is a warning. PO School Board, rethink this. Meet. Take another vote. Because if you do not reverse this, you're in the crosshairs of Patriot Streetfighter. And I'm going to turn my assets and my people on this mission to roll this back and expose the crimes, codified crimes you're committing by this bullshit. So that is my opener for tonight. You're pretty much aware of where we're going from here. Now, I am in Pennsylvania, back there tomorrow. Any of you people, if this resonates with any of you, I need you to show up in Clearfield County on July 11th. I want you to come and meet with all the people that are coming to this freedom rally, Patriot Streetfighter Freedom Rally. The folks who are building the architecture to bring back the constitutional county grand jury and those who are working to establish ahead of time the constitutional certified standing militia that the Constitution our founders require for every citizen's grand jury are going to be there. Representatives from both organizations. The Abate Motorcycle Club and other motorcycle clubs, you're invited. Why do I want to bring the biker community into this war? Because you guys are the true patriots. That's why Trump told the deep state in the very beginning, the military's with me, law enforcement is with me, and the bikers for Trump are with me. Millions of them. Why do you think he said that publicly? Why did he have to? He was telling the deep state powers, go ahead and make your move. All these people, current military, ex-military, the motorcycle clubs around the country, the real patriots, law enforcement majorly, take us on. You're going to unleash an army of Armageddon you can't endure. That was a warning. That was a shot across the bow. I'm giving you one tonight too. Because when I come back to my home district and I watch my family have to endure this constant bullshit of you clowns that don't know shit about running anything, jacking up school prices because you're incompetent and you can't even manage a budget, yet alone balance it or even reduce it. We spend more money per capita in the United States than any nation in the world per student. And we rank 50 in the fucking world. And we need more. Money has never solved the problem. They keep talking about school teachers' pay. I'm all for school teachers. I got a nephew who's a great school teacher. We've had other school teachers in the family. But when you keep finding ways to give people more and more money, when the results keep getting worse and worse every year on what's coming out of high schools, we got a major problem. This isn't about teacher salaries. It's not about building new football stadiums. It's not about building brand new schools. The kids coming out of Little House on the Prairie had better educations than we have today, and they had no money. You people have got fat. You become a fat hog off of this trough. And I'm telling you, it's going to be turned around. But not only that, a number of you people are going to learn. You're going to learn that you're breaking the law. That's how Travis Spencer has people being indicted in these counties across America. ORRs. You want to fight it? Go ahead. You don't even need an attorney with AI anymore. They'll write the whole damn thing for you. You put this in the hands of attorneys, they know they're fucked. They can't fight this, and they know it because they themselves have to commit crimes to try to fight it. You're going to start seeing people disbarred. We have a gentleman here coming on tonight who now has a case headed to the Supreme Court, going to be argued by some of Trump's people. He was a major speaker to Fraud Fighter Summit, probably the axis with which it turned on when we were there. He's here again tonight. And this guy is going to get the Texas Supreme Court removed because they failed in their constitutional duty. By throwing a case out, they committed a crime codified in law. They can all be disbarred. Now headed to the Supreme Court. This is how serious the battle is. We also have tonight Jim McCrank on. Most of you know as Cranker. The folks from the U.S. Debt Clock shows we've done. The Royal House of We the People is here tonight too. He's attended both of these events with me. Mitch was in Las Vegas. So we're going to get into this. This is a launch pad. Let's start talking about how we the people, are going to get in this fight and start pushing back on this Sharia law bullshit that the pastors around the nation are once again failing you on. The pastors in this country are failing you all over the country because they're saying nothing about this. They're doing nothing about it. Anybody have a chill pill over there? You can throw it in my way because I'm doing my very best here. Mitch, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you, sir?
Good. I want to make a couple points because it does tie in to exactly what you're speaking of. So let's start off at the top, which is socialism is anti-U.S. Constitution.
Can I interject one thing so I don't forget? Clearfield, Pennsylvania, you're in the crosshairs too. I just saw the 1.7% tax increase. So guess what's in your backyard now? Thanks, Mitch.
It all ties. So what you're about to see is how it ties even into Pennsylvania. So the Supreme Court of Texas committed a federal crime against all Texans by deprivation of rights, denying the protections under the First, Fifth, Sixth, 14th, and 16th Amendments, which brings in the 13th Amendment, which is involuntary servitude. If you don't have the Constitution, you end up in slavery. So their actions are an impeachable offense, and the Supreme Court of the United States and the President, as protectors of the Constitution, have the authority to remove the entirety of the Supreme Court of Texas in its entirety and have them disbarred and impeached. So now you're going to say, why are you putting the hammer down? Well, can you imagine what happens in other states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, California, if they follow suit of the Supreme Court of Texas? De facto, they would have done an end run around the U.S. Constitution. So the Supreme Court of Texas guarantees, based on their denial, they're guaranteeing taxation without representation. The exact same issue that the War of Independence was fought over and this country was created over. Their position at that time was, these are the Patriots, no taxation without representation. The Supreme Court of Texas guarantees taxation without representation. And to all citizens of Texas, your Supreme Court just declared war on you. You don't have any rights according to the Supreme Court of Texas. The Supreme Court of Texas denied them. It wasn't just of the Wexler case. When I filed that case, it was over 500,000 property accounts. I did that on purpose. I suggested the Supreme Court of the United States and the President and all of society would be well served to impeach the embodiment of the Supreme Court of Texas and prohibit any more rogue courts from attacking via a judicial coup the Constitution of the United States of America. The problem here is you have rogue courts that are not backing up the U.S. Constitution. Well, if you have no law, which is the exact point that I made in the amicus brief to the Supreme Court of Texas, either the law exists or it doesn't. And they chose, not once, but twice, to ensure that the constitutional law is not applicable to any Texan. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not only a judicial coup, it is an act of war. And what is being spoke about here with regard to Pennsylvania, it doesn't matter. These property taxes are illegal. They are a violation of the 16th Amendment. They did something, they got away with it. It's time to terminate all property tax in favor of the uniform state sales tax, put these fraudsters in jail, get rid of these rogue judges, and this better happen real quick because the math proves out that this cannot be paid for. When you have communities like Salina, Texas, $420,000 in outstanding fraudulent school district bond debt per student. They just raised $2.5 billion for 6,347 students, on top of the $500 million that they already had. This cannot be paid off today. This cannot be paid off tomorrow. This is never going to get paid off. And to your comment about Godly, Texas, it's $120,000 in outstanding fraudulent school district bond debt in Godly, Texas. But do you know, regardless of where you live, this was run the same math. That goes up 580% over 30 years. That 120 grand per household in Godly turns into 700 plus thousand in 30 years from now. It cannot be paid off today. It cannot be paid off tomorrow. It will never get paid off. Here's the big kahuna, to cut to the chase, and why this affects every single viewer. It's in your 401k, it's in your pension, it's in your retirement, it's in your IRA, it's everywhere. Point of the matter is, if you don't kill this off, you're stuck with it. But it gets worse. The big kahuna, when you know that the US government's financing is based on its credibility, and if the government chose not to do anything about the 5.1 trillion in outstanding fraudulent school district bond debt and take down 42 million households simultaneously, well, what do you think is next? It's the government treasuries themselves, because there will be no credibility underneath them. This is no joke. This is very serious, and this is solvable. The good news is it's actually solvable. Yes, it will probably take the military to do it. But the bottom line is, what's the alternative? Financial destruction? The Greater Depression? On something that is quantifiable? You know what the Supreme Court of Texas has done. It's in their own handwriting. You know what the 5.1 trillion is. You know where it came from. You know who did it. I've laid it all out. There's multiple criminal complaints that have been filed. Interesting thing about all those criminal complaints, not a single person, not a judge, not an attorney, nobody has been able to disprove anything that's in these documents. Well, if you can't disprove it, then it happened. And so far, I've been unquestionably right. Not that I want to be right, but it just is what it is with regard to what I thought was going to happen with the Supreme Court of Texas. It happened. Now, we as a society have to deal with it, and being apathetic and thinking somebody else is going to fix your problems for you is going to get you broke.
You know what, Mitch? This is gaining so much steam now, this particular subject matter. And I said, I'm talking this way for a warning to these people. To prepare, better buckle up, because it's going to get rough. Or start finding a way to reverse this bullshit. This Fraud Fighter Summit in Las Vegas last weekend was on the front page news in Brazil. It was covered by mainstream in Brazil. Think of what that means. That means when we are now getting traction outside the United States on this kind of corruption that's happening here, and they're starting to look at their own situation saying, the US is doing this, follow suit. That we got to start doing the same thing here. That creates a tidal wave. This is an unstoppable locomotive. No brakes, nothing but engines, no cars, all engines. They're coming down the tracks. There is nothing to stop this. It's coming for these people. It's coming for these school boards. It's coming for these counties and these councils. The question is, what's the damage going to be? How much destruction before the people finally tap out who've created this and say, yeah, we don't know what we're doing, and we will rescind these property tax increases, because they can do it with a find a way to start shaving the budgets with all the bullshit you people spend money on. It wasn't more than within the last 8, 9, 10 years, they had some chick, superintendent, running the school district in Phillipsburg, somehow blew $1 million, whether it was embezzled, blown, or whatever. She gets fired. No judge, no arrest, no investigation, no jail time. These people commit these crimes and they keep getting away with it. And so, by the way, I will be showcasing you people who are casting these votes, by the way. I know you're going to hate me, but at this point, do you think I give a shit? I hate everything that you people represent and what you've done to we the people and the good people in Phillipsburg. You want to sit in these public elected positions? Good. That's the world of politics. It's public domain. And as a news broadcaster, I can showcase every one of your faces and show these people who you are. So when they see you in the community, they can walk up and say, what the fuck? Why are you voting for this, taking more of our money? Anyways, I'm just telling you flat out, nobody gives away their battle plan, but I do. Because I care enough about you people that you might rectify the situation before the hay scythe comes at your knees. Because it's coming, I assure you it's coming. Jim, what did you take away from all this in Las Vegas?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank Mitch for all the hard work he's done, because
at his own expense, folks.
Yes, I was just going to say that. There's so many patriots that Juan brought in to the fraud Streetfighter Summit, and my hat's off to 107. And again, just like what Scott was saying earlier in the show, Juan has put millions of dollars out of his pocket to bring the truth to the people. And this fight that we're in right now, they keep using the schools and the kids, and it has multiple meanings to it. And when you start dissecting where the money is going, and I'm asking people to just think for a minute. Think about your county. How many households are in your county? How many properties? How much property taxes are they bringing in? Where's the money? The other part of this is just taxes, gas tax. And when you're out traveling in this country and you look at all the vehicles on all the trucks that are on the road and you think about all that gas tax, where's the money? Well, I can tell you that after last night, being at the event that Chris Burgard put on, which was absolutely phenomenal. When you start looking at the infiltration that comes into our country of these radical Islamic monsters, they're monsters. And this movie illustrates they're not people, they're soulless. And they're not here because America's great. They're here to take down America. And the movie that we watched last night is an illustration of the dangers we're in right now, because these people are getting paid, and who are they getting paid by? How many politicians were at the event last night from Texas, Scott? How many were there?
Zero.
And I guarantee you, when we come to your state, because we are going to put this together and we're coming to every state, I guarantee you every one of these son of a bitches won't show up because they're caught. Their legs in a trap. We've now found everything out through Mitch's work, through Pete Santilli, through Juan's work, Sean Young, and the list goes on and on and on. Professor Clements. These are patriots who have put their life on the line. They put their life on hold to defend our country against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And the domestic enemies are right in our backyard. And I've been preaching this to so many people for so long. And many of my friends back home, you don't understand because you're not paying attention. You're too busy watching golf. You're too busy watching hockey, baseball, soccer. All this bullshit is a distraction from what's going on. And the mosques that are being built in Texas, and hearing the stories that we heard last night, and I had the privilege, and I promised myself I wasn't going to get emotional. I had the privilege of sitting next to Laura Logan. And when you hear this story in this movie of what they did to her and her husband, if that don't get you to get off your ass and fight, I don't know what won't. I'll take a break, Scott.
Laura Logan last night, and this is why you have to see the movie Remember the Alamo. RememberTheAlamoMovie.com. We saw when the Obama regime had facilitated the overthrow of the Mubarak regime in Egypt, who we've been an ally for 30 years, keeping that region of the world safe. They've even been giving them U.S. aid over years to help with their military. Obama and his Muslim Brotherhood buddies, he infiltrated the U.S. government, helped overthrow the Mubarak regime and put Morsi in power. I spoke to people from Caracas 2 years after this whole thing went down, devastated their economy. Their company was gone. They had to leave Cairo. I said Caracas, but Cairo. And the guy was telling me he's working at a gas station, young guy, probably in his late 20s. And we were talking about this. He was surprised that I knew so much about his country's politics. The Morsi regime comes in, they destroy the nation's economy. They start killing political opposition members. Now, when that overthrow was underway and all those massive protests in Cairo, here's Laura Logan. Many of you know her, worked on 60 Minutes. She's become a friend, a colleague, a comrade. And you see the cameraman's battery on his light died. It goes dark, and all these fucking animals started to attack her, grope her, rape her. They were raping her with sticks. They were shoving their hands inside of her. They brutalized her something horrifically. And she couldn't hold on to the cameraman's shirt any longer. Said, "Do not let go of me. They will kill you." She lost her grip. Her hand was like this for days after, couldn't move it because she was holding on so tight. And in the story, it's the first time I ever heard it, in the movie, she's telling the world what happened. And her husband, Joe, is special operations, badass intelligence. He was putting together a QRF team, military team, to try to get in there to rescue her after he made contact with her. Fortunately, the cameraman, when he was separated, he ran and he got some of the Egyptian military, and they came rolling in with clubs, cracking skulls to get through this mob of these Muslim rapist Islamic animals who were just about ready to kill her, and saved her. Got her out of harm's way. And then we got to hear Joe's testimony too. I hugged him after last night and just said, what you did and Laura did for this movie and this movement to show the emotional side of what you endured from this. It nearly tore their marriage apart. Didn't tear it apart, made it very difficult, obviously, from the trauma of all of it. And to watch them both break down in tears on the camera, to watch Joe break down, and this is a tough special operations dude career. Watch him break down over what had happened to his wife and what they had to endure. It makes me ashamed that I can't look at my American counterparts anywhere and say, there's an American, there's an American, there's an American. What we have allowed happen to this country doesn't represent America and what made it great. How dare you call yourselves my countrymen when you won't even fight in your own backyard for your own kids and their future? How dare you? What the fuck? I know you don't like this language, and I don't give a shit about that anymore either. You get it. What is it going to take? What is it going to take for you people to stand up and defend your own doorstep? What's it going to take? You don't have to sacrifice anything except nights on the couch or the softball game or whatever toiling you're doing to start going out there and meeting the enemy head on, the school boards and the city council meetings that are destroying the fabric of your own backyard. We're going to bring a girl on here probably next week whose husband is a special operator in subterranean warfare. We don't have many more. And she's going to expose for the first time the horror of what these guys are fighting subterranean. We're talking creatures that aren't even human. Yeah, that shit's real too. I know some of you believe it, some don't care about that either. You'll come around one of these days once you get to see the whole full truth. And she's going to come on and describe the horrors that he shared with her of what psychologically destroyed him in about 3 months. And these soldiers in this country, we're losing special operations guys every day, knowing they're taking on missions they likely aren't going to come back to save you, to save this country and the world. And you can't even find a few minutes to fight for your own future, your own family. If you're serious about this, you come to July 11th, Clearfield County, Hyde Fire Hall when we start that event at 5:30. Come on out. If you want to get around a big group of patriots with backbone and be inspired, we'll lock arms with you. We'll support you. If you choose to do this in Phillipsburg, you'll get my support here. You will have me on that battlefield with you. But the price that so many people are paying out here to save this country and get it back, it's not going to be handed to you like a gift by the military or Trump. They don't have the power. They made it explicitly clear. Military-civilian alliance. We have to work together with them. They cannot solve the community by community problems. The only people who can solve it is us.
I appreciate you jumping in. I want to finish what my mind thought. I just, to sit next to Laura and her husband and see that was very emotional. And I wanted to bring this around because what Mitch is doing is we're finding out where our tax dollars are going. And these Islamic monsters are building mosques on our tax dollars. We will have a neighbor have their dog come over and shit in your yard, and you'll throw your arms up and raise, oh, holy hell. But they are robbing us. Our own government is robbing us of our dollars and bringing in infiltrators to take over our country. And Trump just announced, I just saw today, that the infiltrators are within the country. He's telling us. And everyone who keeps coming up to me and Scott or Mitch, what's Trump doing about it? Like General Flynn said last night, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? And he's been preaching this and preaching this and preaching this. Get involved in your local community. I want to, but I don't have the backing to go back to my local community because no one backed me back when I stood up to them. Folks, they live off your fear, and then they tax you because of fear. Mitch, can you add to that? Because you brought so much to the Fraud Fighter Summit that if anyone hasn't seen that video, look for Scott, look for my X channel, or find 107's channel and watch what Mitch brings to the table, because it's all factual. You can't argue it. It's right in front of your face. It's as plain as the nose on your face. Mitch, can you bring that up on where they're putting and why they're raising the fraud on the property taxes? Because they keep spending everything.
Well, not only are they spending it today, they're leveraging it up for the next 30 years. But I want to make a point here. London, Ireland, Germany, for that matter, the European Union. I'm not sure which one is going to end up in a civil war first. It may actually be Ireland, but my bet was a few weeks ago, London. The point of the matter is they have become socialist havens. What they are not is they do not have the U.S. Constitution. And to that point, I want to give every viewer that's out there a weapon. And the weapon is the federal law, U.S. Code 42, Section 1986. Knowledge of a crime and power to prevent. You can use these ORRs as the weapon from which to determine what actually took place inside of these government agencies, be it both state and or federal. You can turn the law on them themselves. When they have knowledge of a crime and they chose to do nothing about it, do you understand that they are liable to you for the damages? Well, that's something that doesn't exist in socialism and socialist countries. Socialism, as I left Canada over, is about give me, give me, give me, and the hell with everybody else. It fails when it runs out of other people's money. So U.S. Code 42, Section 1986, puts a stop to that real quick. Can you imagine what happens, such as what Travis is doing with these ORRs? He can literally jam up any law firm that has chosen to aid and abet the criminal conspiracies to defraud, which, Jim, to your point, is on the property taxes. That is what this is. It is a criminal conspiracy to defraud. Okay, fine. You've got roughly 3,000 chief appraisers across the United States. Chapter 42, U.S. Code 1986. It's all done at the local level. By the way, it's not a state crime. It's a federal crime. U.S. Code 42, Section 1986. Sue the chief appraisers into oblivion. If they don't want to put them in jail, sue them till they're bankrupt. Put them where they belong, digging ditches. They truly belong in jail. But the bottom line is, how many get there? I don't know. How many belong there? Every single one of them. And why would I say that? Because I've proven it. I have proven that there's not a single CAD, Central Appraisal District, in the United States that can adhere and conform to uniform standards of professional appraisal practice. I did it with the infection rate spreadsheet. Bottom line is, there is no judge that can take away the arithmetic, that can change the arithmetic, that can argue against the accretive and cumulative effect of the infection rate spreadsheet, or argue against Don Spencer's own testimony himself, where they took 60,000 properties outside of the database, manipulated it in Excel, and put it back. By the way, that's a pattern and practice across the United States. We also have that on audio. Well, we were just doing what we were taught, according to Deputy Chief Luttrell, Chris Luttrell. We're just doing what we were taught. And I responded to him the following morning. So, Mr. Luttrell, let's get this straight. If you were taught to commit murder, does it make it legal? Everything they are doing, bar none, is nothing more than theft of your money. The time for apathy is over. The Supreme Court of Texas has declared war on its citizens. I strongly suggest that the White House and the Supreme Court of the United States do what is necessary and impeach these people. They belong in jail. They belong disbarred. They belong impeached. And if you don't stop it, you end up with what you deserve. And that would be very, very bad, because you can see the problems globally in those countries that I just mentioned. They're in serious trouble. You think we're broke? Nothing in comparison to the European Union. Done, dead, broke, and they're going to break apart. The European Union very soon will not be the European Union. They're going to have to go back and fix which was a failed social construct from the word go. It was utter nonsense. It destroyed the lira, the Italian lira, down 32% overnight when the European Union came online. They never got the money back. Mm-hmm. Well, all these manipulations by the government are for nothing. The math absolutely trumps any of these machinations that they want to come up with. The big question is, will they act fast enough in order to protect the U.S. treasuries themselves? Everything else is fixable. It really is, but they're going to have to move.
You know, Mitch, this is how bad it is, even in a place like the UK. Tommy Robinson was at the airport, getting on a plane to come to the United States to be at the premiere last night, because he's a significant part of the film too, and he was arrested. That is the level of tyranny in these countries that don't have the Constitution. Ours is being mowed down by the political class and the courts in this country, but we still have remedy. We have remedy because we have 300 plus million people. We have over 100 million weapons, if necessary, which we don't ever want to have to pull out. People want to do that. Let's just go. No, don't be stupid. Once that starts, we lose the country, believe me. And the reality has hit Ireland. I mean, you look at the UK, because people refuse to fight back. 250,000 rapes in the last 6 years by these Islamist fucking animals. 250,000. I'm not talking about the murders that came after them. In Ireland, I mean, when somebody is now getting raped in the UK, almost like Sharia law, they want to arrest the girl, let the other guys go. Look what happened in Ireland. Look what happened in Ireland. Guys getting stabbed to death by a Muslim Islamic third world shithead. And what do? They put cuffs on the guy who's stabbed, and he bleeds out and fucking dies, and let the murderer go. Finally, you know what happens? The IRA, who's been sitting on the bench for decades, said, okay, I guess it's time we come off the bench, because the crooked bastards in government and law enforcement are going to continue to crush the people. So they started going to these Islamist households, pulling them out, throwing their asses in the street, and burning their houses to the ground. They are doing it everywhere in Ireland. They're taking matters into their own hands. Do we want to see that happen here? No. No way. You simply have to show up and get in front of the shitheads that are legislating this shit and allowing this to happen. 25 mosques in Dallas. They don't have enough Islamists, Muslims to fill them up. They build them in areas where there are none. Why? They're forward operating bases. They're military outposts. And then they start to come in. Once they start coming in, they start taking over. Guy said to me last night, special operator, many years in the Middle East, he said, Scott, what people don't understand is there are no peaceful Muslims. They're patient Muslims. They're patient because they come here, they play nice, pretend they're your friend, or just want to live in your free society until they outbreed you, then they outvote you, and then they put their docket on their desk to try to pass into law, which is Sharia law. That's what's happening. And we the people, stand back and do nothing. Egypt was a Christian nation. Turkey was a Christian nation. Syria was a Christian nation. Yemen was a Christian nation. Do you know how they took them over for 1,400 years? Same way, except when they had the numbers, then they brought out the swords and they took it by blood. They know that can't work here in the U.S. They revamped their game plan. They're doing it now with ballots. That's how these people are getting voted in, outside of the theft. Who's helping them steal these elections and put Muslims in office? Democrats. Who's allowing it to happen? Republicans. This country has become an organized crime syndicate right to the bottom. And we have unknowing minions at the local level that do not even know that they're committing these crimes. They don't give a shit. They just want to be in positions of power and need more money. And they pass another school tax.
Here's the thing, Scott, as we learned last night, so many patriots are putting their life on the line. I mean, this is not patty cake. I mean, we're all putting our face with our voice and we're bringing the truth. And it has to happen because when you look at these mosques and then you look at the properties that they're buying to build more mosques, just in Texas, folks, Texas is the heartbeat of America. If Texas goes down, the rest of the country goes down. You need to understand that. Texas is the heartbeat of America. That's why they're so prevalent here. And they're also prevalent back in my home state in Minnesota. And I'm asking all my fellow Minnesotans, get off your ass. Start getting involved. Because you've seen what they did to our twin cities. And you've seen what they did to St. Cloud, Minnesota. You've seen that those beautiful, beautiful communities are being destroyed by these radical Islamic monsters. And I'm going to just say this because this needs to be said. Chris interviewed in the movie one of these monsters. They believe it's okay to marry a 6-year-old girl, but they can't have relations with that girl until she's 9. Are you hearing what I'm fucking saying? They can marry a 6-year-old girl, but they can't have sexual relations with them until they're 9. And they can have multiple wives. These people are pedophiles. They're monsters. They're here to push their ideology, their Sharia law on us. And as long as we keep turning a blind eye to this, we are going to leave a shitbag for our kids and our grandkids and therefore and so on. This is our duty. As JFK used to say in his speech, we must do God's work. These people are antichrist. They don't want to hear anything to do with our Lord and Savior. They do not agree with Jesus Christ. Folks, this is real. And I'm going to call some people out right now because so many people in the movement are all about the fucking RV. They're all about when XRP is going to go to the moon. Well, guess what? We got bigger fish to fry than that right now because we are fighting tooth and nail for our country. And there's 2 people that I just want to applaud, and that's 107 and Chris Bergard for putting these 2 events that I went to. It's changed my life. Because when you look at the infrastructure, the infiltration that's come in, and Mitch, you've done a phenomenal job. Travis has done a phenomenal. So many people have put their face out there to fight against the enemy. And Trump told us back in 2017 he was giving us our country back. What are we doing with it? He's given us all the tools. What are we doing with it? I'm tired of people saying, well, what's Trump doing? What are you fucking doing? Because I can tell you, I've been with Scott now a lot in the last few weeks. This guy cares about his country like no other. And he's dedicated so much of his time and his money. And I know Mitch, I spent a lot of time with Mitch out in Las Vegas, and I know the hours that he's put in. And we're all doing this to save our country. And I'd say this not to bitch and complain to you. I want everyone to understand. We got 4th of July coming up. We got 250th anniversary of our country. Are we going to make it another 250 years? Because if you're going to make 4th of July about barbecuing and drinking beer and going out and having a good time, whatever, you know what? This 4th of July should deserve some serious conversations amongst your peers, amongst your community about getting involved and taking back our communities.
You know, Mitch, taking the country back is not hard at all. It's simply breaking it down to the lowest baseline, and that's a handful of people taking over their counties, taking back their communities from these dumbasses that don't know what they're doing and are committing crimes that they don't know they're committing. And even if you tell them they are, you'll see these people. I know how they're going to respond when they hear this. Fork him. We can do whatever we want. We run the school board. We're in city council. Good, good, good.
Yeah, there's on my website, there's a section called election fraud. And in that section are the documents, the mathematics, the arithmetic behind Ed Solomon, Roger Fuller, and Dr. Andrew Paquette. And these elections, there's zero doubt. The evidence proves that the elections were rigged. Now, how many to be determined? But where the cast vote records were available and weren't switched out, which some of them were, and we caught that, Dr. Andrew Paquette caught that. The bottom line is they were rigged, and there's something called hidden vote distortion logic, and that's what we had discussed a week ago at that event in Vegas. The point is, as part of this problem, the voting machines themselves must be terminated. The software within the voting machines, which is rigged, and the rigging wouldn't occur, and the mathematical formulas wouldn't be there, but for the intent to defraud. The software itself must be terminated. And I'm afraid very quickly, as in the upcoming election, the military is going to have to be brought in. Voter IDs are mandatory. Switch to a punch bowl and paper ballots, and that's all she wrote. Because otherwise, if it touches a piece of software, the election will be rigged. And a lot of these people that we're talking about, specifically tonight, these school boards, we have the evidence that there are people on these school boards who aren't supposed to be there. In the Second Amendment to the criminal complaint is the forensic photos of when you see these touchpads and you walk into a voting booth and there's a touchpad and there's a barcode. We have the forensic evidence that the barcode itself, each one of those little black bars, has got hidden vote distortion logic built into it. It's a flip function. Well, so they're cheating there. The people who get into the school district boards for purposes of voting on the bonds aren't supposed to be there. Another crime. So you've got vote fraud, property tax fraud, and school district bond fraud, and now adding to that, school board election fraud. 4 sets. What's the nexus? It's the software. The software is designed to allow and promote the creation of the fraud. Well, how do you put a stop to that at the voting booths? It's real simple. Put the military out front. Put a stop to it instantly. No voter ID, fine. You cause us fuss, you're going to jail. If that means you have to have at every booth 100 military guard, it is what it is. But you can't let this go on anymore. The evidence is sitting right there. Dr. Andrew Paquette's work has been third-party verified. Same thing with Edward Solomon. When you go through this, there were mathematicians there that night that we were there. Those mathematicians flew in to see Ed and to see Roger. The evidence is irrefutable. It's available on my website for anybody to go and look at. But as I've said, it can't be disproven. Well, if it can't be disproven, then it happens. So what are we arguing about? Well, we're really arguing about fraudsters. And why are they allowed to continue to do what they're doing versus being put in jail? Well, I'd much rather see the fraudsters go to jail than a civil war occur. But we are where we are.
So what do you think the step is? I mean, when we spoke, it looks like Peter Tickton, Trump's attorney, having met with you out there at least once or twice, and he's now getting involved in taking this Texas case to the Supreme Court. Where are we with that?
I spoke via text today with Trennis Evans, who works with Peter. David Kenny and I want 3 hours of peace and quiet with Peter, just so we can go through this from top to bottom But the truth of the matter is, on my website is the letter to Solicitor General Sauer. And in that letter is the writ of certiorari, which is an emergency writ to the Supreme Court of the United States saying, this is what happened. This is what the Supreme Court of Texas did. It's not up for debate. It's crystal clear. It's a federal violation of law, never mind a state violation of the Constitution itself. But the Supreme Court of Texas did an end run around the Constitution of the state of Texas and just completely disgraced the U.S. Constitution, which they can't do. Therefore, it's not even a discussion. The entirety of the Supreme Court of Texas must be impeached. Otherwise, there is no law. And as I've said, either the law exists or it doesn't. And if the law doesn't exist, then why exactly are any of us paying taxes? Never mind real estate taxes. Because, see, the IRS has codified laws. You may not agree with them, but they're codified, they're there. And that's how they're supposed to operate. Well, the property taxes also have codified laws in the form of the uniform patterns and practice with regard to the appraisal practice. So all of that is codified. The problem is, across the United States, the pattern and practice to defraud has been proven to eliminate USPAP. In other words, they claim on their websites, well, we adhere to USPAP. They can't even spell it. They've never read it. They don't know what it is. And we've proven it. The ARBs, the appraisal review boards, are utter nonsense. They're not there. They don't know how to detect fraud. They don't know anything about income statements. They've never read USPAP. They don't have any training in it. So they take for the gospel what the RPA, the Registered Professional Appraiser, tells them. I had a case just today. It's exactly what happened. I may as well not have been in the room. So now we'll take that case and add it to the 3 prior years. But eventually I'm going to get Don Spencer. Maybe it's just simply in a courtroom. I'm going to get him on the stand live. And I have 68 pages of questions to ask Mr. Spencer. And that's going to be a very interesting day because the pattern and practice of what the world sees in Don Spencer is what is happening in your community. These are all facts. Find out how many houses there are in your community. Go and figure out how much there is in outstanding school district bond fraud. Divide the two numbers, and you're going to be horrified. In the case of Salina, Texas, it's $420,000 per student. The math is the math. It's irrefutable. The evidence is irrefutable. What the Supreme Court of Texas has done is undeniable, and it's also a criminal act. So all these things are coming together for whatever reason at the same time. But like I said, I would much rather not see a civil war. But here's the point of all this. You cannot steal money from mom and pop and think you are not going to be held liable. You're going to be held liable one way or the other. If you want to paint a target on your back, keep going. But the bottom line is you will be held accountable, and federal law does exist to hold you, the fraudsters, accountable. 42 U.S. Code, Section 1986. That puts the power back in the hands of mom and pop. All mom and pop has to do is learn how to do the ORRs, get the crimes denoted, get it all labeled, get your act together, and then you go after them because it becomes an irrefutable case. That's the power of what we've got. Nobody can debate it. The facts are the facts. You may not like them, but the bottom line is they are the facts. And no socialist has the right to rearrange history or rearrange facts.
Well, I got a text from Travis here just a little bit earlier. Here's one of the things that Travis said. He's the one that has the blueprint, obviously, folks, to show you how to address these school boards. It's one of the things he sent me. He said, I want you to feel happy and lifted for if possible. I just sent an additional seven additional ORR, which are open records requests, FOIA requests, complaints for MCAD because they violated the seven that he sent in. He said, then I need to file 2 more for Godly ISD after. I'll send another round to both to try to bait each to file for a ruling with the OAG. I tell you this because I'm waiting for you, brother. I need you to show you by fighting your own local municipalities. I sent in 6 already to Mesa County. So yeah, he's waiting for me to take a breath on this run and focus on this issue with that district. In fact, both of them in my backyard, Phillipsburg and Clearfield. And looks like we're going to turn Travis Spencer loose. If they want to keep playing this game, then I'm going to start in my own DNA backyard, Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. Going to try to show people how to make this happen, to put an end to this bullshit. So, Jim. Do I look like I'm frozen?
Did you ask me a question, Scott?
Nope. I was handing you the baton. I was just going to see how long it was going to take you to pick it up. We do shit like that here in Patriot Streetfighter and the Tipping Point.
Well, you and I have had a lot of time together in Vegas and then also down here in Dallas, and our conversations, I mean, I wish could record them and play them back to the people. To be at that event last night and see the turnout that was there, I'm overwhelmed at the amount of real patriots that when you get around the real patriots, how good it feels. And I want everyone who loves our country to have that feeling. And when you are around those patriots, you also have great conversations and a lot of knowledge has been shared with it. When I was in Vegas and had dinner with Juan and then with Anna and I, and then we had lunch, a meeting, we just kind of talked. The one thing he kept saying over and over is that we do this as a team. There is no I in any of this. And I know Mitch and myself and you, Scott, and everyone else that works behind the scenes, when you're around everyone and you see the amount of effort and work that people have done, we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for you, our fellow patriots, our fellow Americans, our fellow Brazilians, our fellow Spaniards, our fellow Englishmen. This is all about we, the people, coming together. The Christ within us. We're the second coming of Christ. We are going to do this. No one's coming to save us. We've got to save ourselves. That's even the words from General Flynn. And to listen to General Flynn, not only on the podcast or on a video, but to listen to his voice in person is very powerful. And Scott, Scott's become a good friend just in the last week and a half through you, Scott Bogard, and now it's Scott McKay. But when Scott McKay introduced us to not only Scott, but then also
Chris.
the Mitch.
Chris Bogard.
Chris Bogard, I'm sorry. I keep getting that mixed up. But anyhow, I just want everyone to understand, when you hear everyone's story that are doing all these podcasts and doing all this, they don't do it for recognition. We're doing it to help people and trying to lead the people to come together, lock arms with us, and defeat all these domestic and these enemies within our country. And if we don't do something about these mosques, and we don't do something about these radical Islamic monsters that are pedophiles, and they don't care about us. They're not here to assimilate to our way of life. They're here to change our world forever. They're not only here in America, they're throughout the whole entire world. And we talked with Anna this morning, they're right there in Brazil. And where are the churches? Where are the priests? Where are the pastors? Where are the private schools? I went to private schools. Where are you standing up against us? The satanic antichrist is right in our backyard. What are we going to do about it? Because our politicians don't have our back. I'm telling you that right now. They don't have our back. We had 0 show up last night. We had 0 show up at the fraud summit. It's up to we, the people.
Somebody mentioned this last night. Anybody in the state of Texas running for office, if they are not running as an anti-Sharia candidate, don't give them a vote. Do not give them a vote. And I said this a number of times on this channel. I said that from the stages I've been on. If these people that are running for office behind that curtain don't talk like Patriot Streetfighter, do not vote for them, because I guarantee if they're not going to fight for you out here like I do, I guarantee once they get elected, they will not fight for you, period. Because they're going to be in the club. Happens to every one of them, even the good ones, I've watched it happen. I've watched it happen in his movement. One in particular cut a deal with a criminal that stole the election. Cut a deal so when he's done, he's going to go into office. He's going to facilitate him going into office. Shut your mouth on voter fraud. Just shut your mouth. And I'm not going to say who or what position. It's a high-level state position. Just shut up. When I'm done, you're going to get this position.
God, can I interrupt you a second?
And he said, okay.
Yeah. What Mitch has proven and what you're saying, I want to just say this because $9 billion with a B dollar given to these Islamic monsters in Minnesota. $9 billion. That's our dollars, our tax dollars. And this is what has got to stop. We have to hold people accountable. We can no longer bitch about it. We got to hold people accountable. And it's happening here in Texas, and it's happening all over. I'm out in South Dakota right now, and they're starting to infiltrate the small towns in South Dakota, for Christ's sakes. Mm-hmm. And if you think you're safe where you're at, you're not. Because their whole plan is to infiltrate every inch of this country and all the other countries. They're trying to take over the world. That's the truth, folks. Wake up.
They state it right here on U.S. soil, out in the open, in front of people all the time. This is our intention. And they mean it. What I want to do here for some of the folks who may not have seen the trailer for this particular film, Remember the Alamo, I'm gonna take a leap here, Lisa, and see if I can test out my own skill set here in the system and run this trailer so you folks that haven't seen it can see it. Watch how I knock this out of the park.
فأجمعوا أمركم وشركاءكم ثم لا يكن أمركم عليكم غمة.
This American man must pay the price for America's failure to surrender to the Islamic State and submit to the will of Allah. The death of this kafir will soon be repeated 300 million times over. The caliphate will destroy the great Satan. We will urinate on your constitution, and soon you shall have Sharia in your White House.
Damn it, Mohammed!
Sorry.
This is an insult to Allah!
I spilled my juice.
I'll spill your blood, you son of a Hollywood whore!
Don't treat on my Texas.
There's something about Texas and how God has blessed it, and God has blessed the people of Texas.
When I see God connecting all of us the way that he is, I go, man, he's raising an army.
Mark. If we want to stay here, we must talk to America about Sharia.
Nobody in the government, civilian government, DOD, Intel, knew anything about Sharia.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Did you find that the Biden administration's DHS had a formal vetting process in place?
The department did not have a formal process at the start of the OAW.
That's astounding.
My wife got confronted at 9:30 at a grocery store parking lot by a guy saying, "You should not be on the street. You're gonna be raped."
People get excited and the rape is done. Who's to blame? It is even the girl to blame.
Under his system, he's allowed to rape any woman that's unattended.
My cousin was 13 or 14, Jeanette. She woke up naked in a house, lots of bearded Muslims raping her.
There's no such thing as a Muslim country where children are not trafficked.
What you have right there is a clash of civilizations, not a clash of religions, a clash of civilizations.
Is Islam a religion?
It's a civilization, not a religion.
What about the Muslim Brotherhood? What about Hezbollah? What about Hamas? What ties the entire global movement together is Sharia. The stated purpose of Islam is to wage jihad.
They don't apologize about jihad. They're not afraid of jihad. It's a part of who we are.
Since 2020, there's been over 500 Catholic churches that have been assaulted. You don't hear about the Christian churches that have been attacked. If a mosque was attacked, they would be crucified.
If you build a mosque in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get Islamists. And Muslims come.
These imams or clerics are openly calling for the takeover of this country, the Islamization of this country.
This is the correct religion, and we will not stop until it enters every home.
Imam says to me in the interview that the United Kingdom will be a Muslim country within 20 years.
I stood outside a mosque in Manchester, and when I stood there, within a 2-mile radius, I found that 16 people had gone to fight for ISIS.
And you see areas like Paris or London, whose culture is being absolutely eroded.
You have a lot of people from the Muslim Brotherhood that have infiltrated all areas of our intelligence community, of our legal community, and into the government. Why would you put a knife to your own throat?
Army Major Nadal Hassan was convicted of killing 13 people and wounding 32 others.
The state with the most jihadi attacks in the United States, Texas.
We are in a battle not just for the future of Texas or the future of the United States of America. Texas is on the front lines in the battle for nothing less than the future of Western civilization.
Don't be deceived and don't be afraid.
You have Texas politicians believing in whatever keeps them elected. If Texas falls, the rest of the United States falls.
Don't mess with Texas.
Shepherds aren't weak, and I'm not weak, and I'm not gonna let anyone come in here and hurt this flock.
America starts in Texas. This is another Alamo. This time, we're gonna win.
The battle for Texas begins now.
You know, just thinking about this last night, 250,000 rapes in the UK. And I'm telling you right now, what I'm seeing is a nation of milquetoast pussy British men that refuse to stand up and protect their women. In this country, what man can call himself an American that refuses to protect our women? Because I'm telling you, it's coming here. It's happening in all these countries, out in the open, stabbing attacks, raping, murdering women, throwing gays off of roofs, and the lunacy of it all. You got the lunatic left women, the most unattractive, obese, overweight, nose ring, purple-haired, buzz-cut lunatics that are aligned with this bullshit. And the gay community, the LBGTQ, XYZ, expialidocious train that's barreling through our country, they're all supporting this bullshit in the name of tolerance and equality. Who are the first people they're going to go after? They're going to go after the gays, start tossing them off of roofs, and they're going after women. You're wearing burqas or you're going to get raped. And because you refused to, you got raped, and now we're going to stone you to death, just like they still do in Iran. That's what's bearing down the tracks. Where are the men in America? Where is our brave? Where is our free? Where are you? Where are you? Where the hell are you? Where are the Minutemen in this country? This threat's graver than I thought. Look, the simple fact is, and I don't want to demoralize anybody, it's been 6 years plus since I started the radio show. Almost 6 years since I started the podcast. I didn't think we'd be here 6 years later. I didn't realize what the military intelligence was trying to get through to us, that the depth of this infiltration is global. To root right now on this planet, well, I'm discounting the many, many that have already been taken out and executed that you don't know about, high-level figures. But the number is, there needs to be an elimination and execution of 3 million people, of these people on this earth, executed, before we are going to have a chance to turn this around on the planet. That's how many of these people, these Satanists or these facilitators, are in positions of elective power, and they've got to be eliminated. I didn't believe that this wasn't going to be anything except an instant military operation to bring it all down. Well, what I've learned is the military has been bringing down all of the apparatus and clearing out the blocks to allow we the people to lawfully and constitutionally put an end to this bullshit ourselves. Where are we today? Yes, we have more patriots come to the battlefield. We have more people standing up. But by now, I thought we would have a tidal wave. You should have 500 people at the next school board meeting in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. If I'm putting my name, reputation, everything about my goodwill, I'm going to lose friends over this. I already know that. Again, I don't give a shit. But if you're not going to get on the battlefield, I'm going to start calling you guys out too. Because it's cowardice to continue to let this shit happen. When the whole furries concept hit the PO school board, and there was a vote, and the school board president, who I personally know and have always loved and found him to be an inspiring individual in my life since I was a little kid, made a comment to another school board member, we just need to let these kids be who they are. I nearly put his name out there and dropped the fucking hammer. And I didn't. That was a first free pass. But I'm telling you, I'm at the end of the rope and I'm at the end of the road now. Something's got to be done. And I can't do it by myself. I'm taking on too many fights in too many places. And I'm stretched so thin that I never get enough sleep. I'm losing weight all the time. I wear these glasses all the time in public because I got raccoon eyes under my eyes. I look so bad. I don't need to wear these transitionals when I'm in public to read. But I do it because I'm trying to hide the physical degradation of my own body because of this exhausting 6-year war to try to inspire you people to get up and start to fight and behave like an American and act like our founding fathers and the Minutemen who are willing to do what? Give our fortunes, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, which they did. I will remind you, 52 of the signers of independence, 52 of them, 49 died broke. And they were in the aristocratic classes and they had nice lives. Many of them lost their kids and their wives, killed by the British, houses burned down, some living in caves for years hiding from the British. For what? In defense of taxation without representation. You have the same thing going on right now in your counties. And the price you have to pay, sure as hell, is not your fortune, your life, or your sacred honor. It's some time and maybe some credibility to start showing up and joining this fight, getting in this fight. Why do you think that rig of mine runs around the country with a Patriot Streetfighter Braveheart caricature on the back, holding rolled up in his fist the Constitution? What do you think that is? The axe, the hatchet handle. I'm saying that for Sasha Stone. My tomahawk on that bus or on that trailer now, the handle is the rolled up Constitution. That's the point. I just don't know anymore. That's why I'm getting hoarse. The last week or 2 weeks have been so much of it, trying to get people to get off their asses and start to fight.
We were talking earlier today, Scott, and I'll share this with Mitch and the audience. We didn't know we were in a war our whole entire lives. We're just being awakened to it. Everything that we're telling you, they've been doing this to us since we were born. I mean, everything that Mitch is talking about is our government was not our friend. And when Donald Trump stood on those stairs in 2017 and said exactly this, I am transferring power not from one administration to another, nor from one party to another, but I am transferring power from Washington, D.C. back to you, the people. And all of us that have gotten into this fight, we're trying to get the rest of you to understand what Donald Trump's doing. He can't do it all by himself. And for a true republic, the people have to rise up peacefully, as peaceful as we possibly can. And if you're following 107, who I highly encourage you to do. And you're following Scott, you're following Mike Jaco, you're following many of the Patriots that are involved together. We need the rest of you to get involved. It's the only way we're going to move this needle forward, and we can't continue to complain and bitch. We're in our second revolution, and people need to understand that. And there's other beings that want to take over our country. Are we going to allow that? I know it'll happen over my dead body because I won't allow it. They're going to have to take me out. And I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I know what Scott's going to say. I know what my friend Anna's going to say. She's down there fighting in Brazil, tooth and nail. All 115 pounds of her. It's time for the rest of you to get in the game. And Mitch, I got to hand it to you. When I learned the hours that you put in to disclose all this, no lawyer is going to do this because it opens up a can of worms for our whole education system, our governments, and how all these attorneys are involved in all this, because it is the truth. And they've been hiding behind the truth for a long time. Not all attorneys are bad. There's some that are becoming whistleblowers and they're coming to the light. But I'm just telling you, this man we got on right here, Mitch Wexler, the hours he put in and the presentations that he puts together, even someone who's got a grade school education can see the facts.
It's interesting. Rudy Giuliani, had a very insightful statement. And the statement was, if you want to get the mob, get their attorneys. And it turns out most of attorneys are really bad in math. But you know what they're even worse at? Is defending their own actions, because the ORRs that Travis is doing is literally forcing the attorneys to turn state's evidence against their own clients. That's the beauty of the ORR. And that's the beauty of what mom and pop are capable of doing. You can turn the tables on these creatures. It's not that difficult, it turns out. You just have to get it dialed in so that you know what you're doing, you know what to expect, because there will be the odd defeat, but it's only temporary. And then you get right back on. But the point of the matter is these ORRs are extraordinarily powerful. And then you can top it off, be it the cherry on the sundae, Chapter 42, U.S. Code 1986. You use that against the criminals, you bankrupt them. So there's all sorts of things, and the power is in mom and pop's hands. They just simply don't know it. Our job is to expose it, and that's what Travis is doing. He's showing them how to do it, what he's doing. It's all online, and the ramifications, be it those mugshots from people that are sitting in jail. It does work.
Yep,
Get the attorneys.
Putting the pictures of the mugshots up. Folks, here's the thing. The Constitution has given the people all the power. You've heard me say it a million times. That's why we the people is so damn big. First three words, we the people. Now, when they were writing we the people in power who were writing that weren't the people. They were the aristocratic ruling class, the founding fathers, the governors, the constitutional congressmen, all these people. They were the ruling class. They were concerned about the people they were, we'll call it ruling. They weren't necessarily ruling them, but that's what the Constitution was written for. In fact, so much so that when that finally was done and they were going to vote on it, Alexander Hamilton refused to sign it for 3 weeks because he said, there's nothing in here that protects the people from us. So 3 weeks later, you've got the Bill of Rights laying it out. We call the shots. We've got the power. We pay these bastards. We can fire them. We can have them prosecuted. We can remove them, not at an election, right now when they refuse to carry out their lawful and legal responsibilities to the people. We have all the power. Why has this gone on so long? Because the machine has buried this knowledge inside of paperwork and statutes and bullshit for decade after decade after decade. No different than even in the IRS's own documents, they will tell you it is lawful, legal, and your responsibility to climb through every aspect of the IRS code and find every single deduction that you can qualify for. It's your right and it's your duty to find every loophole in the IRS code to pay as little taxes as possible. They put it in the IRS code. It's all in there. It's no different than the law. As it's written, it's up to us to learn it and know how we can use the Constitution against these criminals. We can use the law against them. It just takes knowledge. That's why we're bringing Travis back. That's why we're going to put his template here on the show to show you how to do it. And I'm looking to get involved in a case study experiment with the school district to show the masses of my audience, see how we're doing it? You can do it too. That's the game plan.
Scott, we're not going to be able to vote our way out of this. And that's the problem that people think, is that we're going to vote our way out of this. There's just no way of doing that. The system is rigged. Trump has told us the system is rigged. The Patriots have shown that the system is rigged. Now it's up to us. And we need to show up at these meetings, and that includes the city and county board meetings too. And if they don't want to give us the answers we have, we demand 48 hours to either give us the answers or resign. And we start putting new people in these offices. They're elected. They're not hired. They're elected. And this is what people need to do. We take the power back. And, you know, so many people want to talk about sovereignty. Sovereignty comes with responsibility. And responsibility comes with accountability. And all of us have to be accountable for why we're in the situation we are right now, because we've stopped paying attention. And for all those sports fans out there, and I'm the biggest sports there is, but we are in Game 7 right now. It's do or die. Our country's in Game 7 right now. And we all have to get involved to win Game 7.
You know, I was thinking about how do you motivate people to do something, to take an action or not take an action? You give them a taste of how good it is when you have something that you want. And then when you have it, take it back from them. Why do you think there's 90-day money-back guarantees or Costco? I don't care if you buy a dumbbell from me for working out. You can bring that back 10 years later, 10 years, and get your money back. How do I know? Because a Costco employee told me just that when I asked the desk about all the merchandise returns. Why do you think they have that in their policies? Just take it. It's 30-day guarantee, 60, 90. Bring it back if you don't like it. Why? Because they know once you have that with which you want, and you are enjoying that with which you now have, the likelihood is very slim that you're going to take it back and give it up. I wish we've explained to the people here, Mitch, military intelligence made this comment for a reason in one of the drops. They said the most powerful economic force the world has ever known wasn't a country, it wasn't a company, it wasn't Elon Musk, it was the U.S. taxpayer. And I'm not just talking federal taxes, I'm talking about the weight of the 40 to 50 taxes you can sit down from a fishing license to marriage, go through the list. The taxes on everything just to live, your right that God gave you. God doesn't tax you a damn thing, nothing. They bullshitted you and told you got to give 10% to the church as an ohm to God. Horseshit. Church is a business, period. Once it becomes a business, the true intention always goes away. This is what I'd like to see for 90 days. The federal government comes in, starts funneling money to the people that they should have had, before the British Crown's operation of capture came back and all this taxation at every level, state, local, federal, and make these people awash in cash and lifestyle for 90 days and then shut it off and say, that's what you should have always had. How pissed off would people get when you shut that off because they now experienced what they should have had in their lives? No poorness, no poverty, no worrying about paying bills, no property tax, no income tax, nothing but money. And living the lifestyle you deserve to live and then take it from them. That would ignite the revolution. There'd be a march on every agency, local, state, and federal, in the frickin' every state and every county, all across the country. I wish we could give them a taste of it so they would be willing to fight for something. But the human psychology, the way God created our minds, its ability to adapt. Case in point. I've been a high-performance athlete all of my adult life. Killed in a motorcycle crash. Kicked back on the playing field. Wake up. Destroyed nearly beyond repair. Paralyzed on my left side. Likely never be upright again, let alone walking. So I wasn't willing to accept that no matter what they told me. Keep these people away from me. I don't want to hear this bullshit. I believe in Christ consciousness, manifestation, quantum physics. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to work again. I'm going to ride again. And then I'm going to tell the world, don't look at me with admiration because you could do the same thing I did. Maybe you're not built. I've engineered my mind. I've engineered my mind for this for 30 years of building my mind aggressively every day of my life. Reading, studying, researching, going to seminars, all that stuff. In the world of bodybuilding, put myself through that unbelievable stress on my body for a long time. I was prepared to fight that. And I believed. And of course, yes, you see me today, I walk relatively normally. You're not going to see me run because I look like I had a stroke. I can't outrun or beat up a Girl Scout. There's a lot of shit that I can't do, but you know what? My psychology and yours adapts. I live a good life. I have accepted the fact that there are these limitations that I have, the things that I cannot do that are part of my life, all of my life, that I can't do. I can't run up and down a basket. It's my best sport, basketball. I can't run up and down a court. I can't play D. I can't do any of that. But I've adapted. I've got a good life. I found other ways to unleash the other aspects of the talents God gave me because these others were taken away. My sister's case in point, my oldest sister, born blind in one eye, 10% vision in the other. Do you think she misses it? No, she's adapted forever. It's all she's ever known. How'd she adapt? She can wire up an entire AV audio system, can't even see it, but with her fingers. Her fingers are her eyes. Says, get out of the way, let me do it. She'll take her, she can see what she's got, colors, doesn't matter. What the feel, taste, what it feels like, what's a connector, reach in the back, feel it, find it. Wire damn stereo system. Adaptation. We have that psychology. Why am I telling you this? Because you've psychologically adapted to being broke half the time, to worrying about how you're going to pay these bills, how you're going to pay these property taxes. All the ones before that for the last 25 years you're worried about. You got by it, didn't it? Because you got adapted with doing less and less and having less in your life because these shitheads that don't know how to run a business keep pulling this bullshit. You adapt. That's our greatest physical and psychological characteristic is the brain's ability to adapt to trauma. Because if it didn't, you'd psychologically crack and go nuts. But that one attribute is also a major detriment and a hamstring in your life because it keeps you from not accepting this status quo and saying, I'm done with this bullshit. I'm going to start standing up, showing up, and fighting back. Not fighting, with your voice, staring them down, telling them with conviction. Reverse it right now. Scott McKay's bringing in Travis Spencer to start filing the ORs on you guys. Reverse it right now. Go tell them I'm coming. Tell them I'm coming. Tell them. I'm telling them. It's coming. Do I want to be this guy? I said before, hell no. I made a lot of enemies in the last 6 years. Thousands of enemies. But they're the right enemies. They're the ones I'm looking to smoke out. And I want to find out who's pissed off at me. Because if they're pissed off at me, now you know who to go look for. You know who to go to investigate. Go look at them if they're pissed off. Because I don't gain anything financially from this. I spend a fortune fighting this war, my own money. I've never built a place to live in my own ranch because I'm using my money to fight this war for you people. I'm asking you to stand up and fight alongside me. And we're down to the last 8 minutes here, and my voice is pretty much shot. I'm so pissed off right now.
Let me take an inverse on something here.
Excellent.
So mom and pop should really be asking themselves, how much wealthier would I be but for the fraud? Then the follow-up question would be, what am I going to do about it? So first you define what it is in your life that has affected you that is fraudulent, i.e. the real estate taxes and the school district bonds. But you should realize that that expense is not just in the property tax. You pay it, but when you go to Chick-fil-A, they pay real estate tax. When you go out and buy a pizza at a local pizza place in a retail mall, they pay real estate tax. I even figured it out that there's 7 elements of real estate tax inside your cappuccino in the morning. When you start adding up all those years of those cappuccinos, and you begin to realize you spent thousands of dollars on cappuccinos, but why? It's in the real estate tax. It's layer upon layer upon layer of fraud. So when you begin to think, well, okay, I have a car, I have a tax, I have a gas tax, I have this, I have that. It's all fraud. It's all paying for debt that you don't even know exists because they took those cash receipts and they levered them up 10 or 20 to 1. Then they stuck it on your neck in terms of the liability for the next 30 to 40 years, which in Texas you can do. School district bonds can go up 40 years. The point of the matter is, just ask the question, the inverse of what Scott was just saying. How much wealthier would I be but for the fraud? Now, what am I going to do about it at a local level?
You know, I got taught this about 6 years ago, right before COVID hit. Do you know that when you buy a lot is an acronym. It's lease on title. And that's why you pay taxes on it. You don't own it. And when a contractor plots out land, that's a purchase lease on title until he sells you the lot. It's all English bullshit that they've played with the English language to trick us. And then it's ironic because the school system that doesn't teach us about your Bill of Rights, doesn't teach you about your civic rights, doesn't teach you about the Constitution, don't teach you any of this. And they still use the school system to screw you on taxes. It's all about the kids, right? It's all about the kids. They use the kids as propaganda. I'm honored to be on the show tonight with Mitch and with you, Scott, and I thank you for having me. But folks, it's time. This is Game 7. We got to get in the game.
Yes, sir. And any last words, Mitch? We're going to finish the show out with playing the other trailer, the cartoon. I think is very powerful because they're censoring it massively on Chris's social media posts. We're going to play it here at the end for a couple minutes. But Mitch,
part of the playbook is that yes, as Scott just said, you may ruffle some feathers. By the same token, the amount of feathers that you ruffle is insignificant as compared to the millions of fans that Scott has. So when one looks at the cost-benefit analysis, friends by the millions versus the odd idiot who has his feathers ruffled, nobody cares about the idiot other than the fact they belong in jail. Otherwise, we wouldn't be going after them. We're not going after regular mom and pop. We're going after people whose intent to defraud is laid bare for the world to see. They are criminals. That's who we're going after. So do we care that we ruffle the odd feather? Nope.
Exactly. Do not care. Not anymore. I'm going to pull up a flyer here for the event in July before we play this trailer. I'm going to take another shot at my skill set that I think I perfected the last time. Let's see what happens. At least prepare to rescue me if I blow this one. This here, let me see if it comes up. Okay, so this again is a Patriot Streetfighter Freedom Rally, Taking Back Your Country, county by county. Is live music. Rob Lane, the composer and performer of the County Grand Jury song for Tactical Civics, became huge. Jerry Schickling, a National Recording Office local boy, Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, is going to be performing. You also have Adam Bell coming in, another artist performing. Bill Ogden, of course, the tip of the spear for the Tactical Civics movement we kicked off a couple years ago. Also part of leading the charge for America Free. The Certified Standing Militia will be there. A lot of other people is going to be there. That is July the 11th, 5:30 p.m. And that is at the Clearfield County Hyde Fire Hall, Clearfield County. We'll cover this again, of course, before that, the exact address. But if you go online, you can find out. I can't see it in the flyer. It's kind of bottomed out here. And let's go ahead and just play the last trailer one more time. We're going to push pretty hard on this film because this is a major offensive that we've got to get people involved in. Is putting an end to the Sharia nightmare here. So, got to go ahead and play the cartoon.